Before we dive into today's episode, I just want to take a quick moment to say, if you enjoy these conversations and find them helpful, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And if today's topic resonates with you, I'd love it if you could take a few seconds to leave a rating or a review. It really helps the show reach more people who might need a little extra inspiration or guidance on their own journey. Thank you so much for being here, for your support, and for helping us grow this amazing community. Now let's jump in. Welcome back to this week's episode. I am so delighted to bring back my beautiful friend, Sarah Maxwell. We had a chat this time last year. It was November, end of November-ish. And she spoke about her journey with epilepsy. On this week's episode, we talked to her about that, how she's going. But I also wanted to talk to her about her creativity process. I'm not sure, I don't think it was mentioned in the last episode, but Sarah is multi-talented, multi-passionate about so many things, most importantly around art. She is a photographer, videographer, she's an artist, she is a musician, and I wanted to talk about her creative process and everything she's learnt in the way and what has she learnt from her experience in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and how she's bringing what she's learned into her artistry. It is such a wonderful episode. I always love chatting with Sarah because I learned so much from her, and I'm so inspired by her story and everything that she's achieving and also everything she's going to achieve, because I can just see she's got such an incredible future, and I cannot wait to actually go on that journey with her to see it all unfold. So I loved this episode. I know you will too. It's an incredible conversation. So enjoy this conversation with Sarah Maxwell. Sarah, so pumped to have you back on the show. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, love. I'm so grateful to be here. It's an honor. So good to see you.
So good to see you. And I have so many questions for you today because, firstly, we spoke this time last year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, on yours or mine? They were around the same time, I guess.
They were around the same time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's
both.
A bit scary. Yeah.
But you are a multi-talented creative. And you're the host of the Truejectory Podcast, which I love. You're also a photographer, a videographer. You're an artist and a musician. And today, I'm so excited to dive into your creative world and hear about how you bring, all of your passions to life. And I know you're helping other creatives or people with their passions and how to bring their passions to life. Before we get into that, though, the last time we did speak, it was about your journey with seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember this correctly, you at the time were waiting for the 2 years to be cleared, seizure-free, to then be able to drive again. Tell us.
Oh my gosh.
How's that going?
Oh, if anyone's watching the video of this, they will have seen me just flush red which is just pure happiness and so much emotion, because yes, I forgot that that's where we were at that point. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional already because it was such a long wait. It was 4 years until I hadn't been able to drive. And so I was waiting for the 2-year clear, seizure free for 2 years. And that's when you're able to drive again. And that kicked over in July this year. And I got my first car in 4 years about 6 weeks ago. And I'm absolutely obsessed with her. So obsessed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's already changed my life so much. I knew it would, but when you sort of know you've got to put up with something. Like, I knew that I had no ability to drive at that point. So I had to sort of, keep painting the picture that I like it this way and everything's fine. And like, obviously there were many positives to walking everywhere. That was fantastic. There were so many extra steps in my day, a lot less working out that had to be done. That's now shifted a bit. But it's such a incredible feeling to be able to drive again and to be able to, take my camera out into nature on weekends. I live at the cusp of this beautiful bushland right behind me, and I wasn't able to really explore it because, every time I'd start walking into it, every step I take away from my home, I'm so aware that I've got to take that step back towards my home. So there's always this push-pull feeling whenever I'd explore somewhere, going, am I going to have the energy to get back? Because energy was always an issue as well. And now I'm working out 4 to 5 times a week, if not 6. I'm hiking, I'm mountain biking, I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I'm going to start free diving soon. And all of this is because of my car, you know what I mean? So very, very, very happy. Yeah.
That's incredible. Where did this obviously the excitement came from getting that independence back, but like jiu-jitsu, free diving, where does the excitement come to explore that?
It's just they're things that I've wanted to do for a long time. Free diving is actually something that's come up a bit recently, and it's one of those things that, again, because I didn't have even the option to get myself to the beach. I live 3 hours inland in Canberra, so I'm not, no easy access to the beach for me. And so it wasn't even something that I would consider, but it came up recently where a friend was telling me about her freediving, and it was like this lightning bolt hit me. It was like, that's something that I've always wanted to do, but I was always, when I was younger, I used to be so like paralyzed, afraid of sharks. It was such an irrational fear. Like, obviously there are lots of people that are afraid of sharks and stuff like that, but I think I took it to the next level. I don't know the last time I was in the water. So when this thing hit me and it was like, you're 100% going to do that, and I already know I'm going to love it. And it's the thing that I love about it. Before I've even started it, I've started training, I've started looking at like the homework that you've got to do. I've started doing all of these preparatory things, but the truth is I've actually already been preparing for this without realizing it, because what is involved when it comes to freediving is meditation, breath holds, breath work, cold plunges. These are all things that I've been doing for such a long time. And even the recommended reading list that they offer, half of the books I've already read, and they're from, Eckhart Tolle and Don Miguel Ruiz and stuff like that. It's like mindfulness and understanding self-mastery and being able to control your faculties. And it's like, this is what I'm passionate about. So then throwing overcoming a fear on top of that, challenging myself even more with, jumping in the water with sharks. I always had the logic of, I don't have to be afraid of sharks because I'll just never go into their zone. It's fine. I'll just stay on land. They can't get me there. So now, you know what I mean? There's like this fear has just eliminated itself because I have so much excitement to show myself what I can do, to show myself that I can overcome this fear, this very strange fear that I don't know where it's come from, probably from Shark Week that they used to show when I was younger for no reason. That show that used to just like make them look horrible. But I don't know, you've probably seen on Instagram, there's so many people that are raising awareness about, sea life and sea creatures and in particular sharks, and showing they're not trying to come and kill all the humans. Like, it's mistaken, identity and lots of splashing and people being a bit silly in the wrong place, wrong time. And yeah. So anyway, sorry, we're tangenting about sharks already.
Yeah,
I love it.
Today's podcast is about sharks.
Where is it going?
When was the last time you were in the water?
I genuinely have been trying to figure that out. I have no idea. It's got to be at least 10. It's got to be more than 10 years. It's probably like 15. Wow. I remember a friend of mine dunked me in the ocean when I was in film school, and I went absolutely nuts. Like, I didn't even realize I could go that nuts at someone, but he thought it was a joke, and he thought that me going, no, don't throw me in the ocean was playful. And I was like, no, that was me having like a panic attack. Like, I don't want to be in the water. And he sort of just picked me up and tackled me into the water and then kept charging and kept pushing me in deeper. And I was like, no. So that's the last memory I have of the water. And I mean, it would have been years in between that incident and me actually being in the water as well. Oh, I did actually go like knee height in Little Bay. You're in Sydney now, so I don't know if you know Little Bay, but it's a very casual, very calm little bay. Like if there was anything coming, you'd see it a mile away because it's that very light water with the light sand underneath. So I did that probably a couple of
When
years
you
ago.
say you'd see anything coming, are you talking about
A
sea
shark.
life or waves?
Just, a shark or something. Because there are not even waves in Little Bay. That's the thing. It's more like a little pool. It's very cute.
Okay.
So I can't really consider that like, a swim. So I would take it back to like
That's
15.
training though.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. It's true. I've gotten up to the knees, guys. Yeah. And
Do you
next
know
is
what?
just dive all the way in.
I can so relate to the panic side of things. I didn't because I've had swimming lessons. I love the beach. I'll get in the beach and have a swim. But what I can't do very well is put my head underwater. So when I say swim, I'm like breaststroking with my head above the water.
Like a little puppy.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize I had this fear until actually I wasn't even in the water. I was trying to do instead of doing an ice cold plunge, I just did it with a bowl of water for my face, trying to do that. And I remember the first time doing that and just coming out of that and having this panic. And it was such a shock to me.
Yeah.
And then going to the beach, I'm like, can I do this? And I remember going underwater and covering my face and just coming up and like, holy fuck, what is going on with my mind? Because it is scary for me at the moment. So it's really interesting where these things come from, because I mean, I have an idea where mine came from, but I've had swimming lessons. I've gone snorkeling, like I've done things in the water.
And then it's just come up later in life, this fear. Yeah, it's very so interesting. But that's the thing I love. That's something I love to do, is dig, find things that I fear and go towards them. You know what I mean? And for most of my life, I wasn't like that. I was very, I know there are things lurking in here, in this body, in this mind. I'm not looking. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to use substances and all sorts of things to distract and avoid. And now it's the complete opposite. It's almost like a game for me. Like everything is just a game. Life is a game. It's hilarious.
I love that. In the last year, has there anything that's come up for you, whether it's changed your mindset towards life, towards your artistry? Like, has anything changed within the last year?
Massively. I love that you've asked this question, because I would love to have this on record and look back at this in a few years and go, yes, that was when it changed, because it's very subtle, but it's just changed everything. There's a couple of parts to it. So let me try not to get myself tangenting too much.
Give me all the parts, Sarah.
Yeah. Let's break it down. So first of all, mutual friend of ours who we love, Roxy, she has a podcast. We've both spoken to her on her podcast. We've had her on ours. And she recommended Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. And that really had a huge impact on me. Oh, yay, you've got it right behind you. How amazing. And is that Florence? Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I've started following her lately. She is a gem of a human.
Sunshine, love her.
Yeah, literally sunshine in a human. So in Rick Rubin's book, he stresses the importance of, when you're an artist, especially, and it relates to things outside of music, but in music as well, the audience doesn't come into the equation. You shouldn't be thinking about what the audience wants when you're creating something. You should be creating what you want from your soul, your heart, your being. And if it's meant to resonate with people, it will. And even though I sort of felt like I knew that on some level, I was definitely, every move, every decision I was making in music, every lyric I was writing was always filtered through the lens of, will people understand this? What will they think of this? Will this help them? Will this make them feel good? It was always about them. And so breaking that down and giving myself permission to, one, I've taken a pause from my podcast so I can really focus on music. So one thing has been giving myself the freedom, allowance, permission, green light to go headfirst into music, which is something that I have always loved. And I had to have a big break from, especially when I was going through all of my healing through the seizures and everything. Didn't have the energy or the capacity in any way to really create. And so giving myself permission and now doing what I want to do my way without the rules, the imaginary rules that I had made up for myself. It's incredible because I'm learning how to, this year alone, and that's another thing that's changed. At the start of this year, I couldn't play guitar. I can play guitar now. I can play piano now. And now I'm learning how to produce music. And when I say play guitar and piano, it doesn't mean I'm, about to go and open a concert and, I'm not classically trained. And I love that. I found that one of the biggest things that was holding me up from learning those two things, which I've always wanted to learn, was, oh yeah, you got to go and you got to learn every single note and you got to do C, C, C and A, and all these things. And it was just too monotonous for me. I wanted to just pick up an instrument, make some good sounds, see what gives me chills and move forward from there. And so that's what I've done. And I've made up I can't even count them. I tried to count them, but over like 30 songs. And they keep coming. I have so many voice notes in my phone right now. And on my notes, like lyrics, I have melodies that come to me. And then I learn how to play that on guitar. And then I translate that to piano. And then I put that into Logic. And then I can make beats around it. And there's so many songs that the biggest challenge for me right now is, sort of picking which one to really finish and start releasing. But I can tell you now, let's have this chat again next year, because between now and next year, I probably will have released a lot of songs and it's going to be continuing from there. And so I'm ecstatic. I'm so excited.
So am I. Put it in your diary because you're going to be back on the show.
Love it.
So can you tell me, like, when did that spark of creativity just start for you? Was it that permission once you read the book and then it all started flowing? Like, was there a specific moment or experience that really helped that creativity flow?
I think there were a few different things at play. That quote from Nick Rubin, that's not right, Rick Rubin, was definitely a big catalyst. But it was also looking at where my time is going in a day, because I had this story in my mind and I'm always very curious about the stories that I'm telling myself, because a lot of them we're not aware of, right? So we're creating our realities by our thoughts, by our stories, and often we're not aware of the stories that we're telling. So I try to latch onto them as soon as I can and go, oh, wait, no, that's false. So the false story I was telling myself is that I will be able to do music, which is the one thing I want to do. The main thing. Yes, I'm multi-talented and creative, but this is my passion. And I haven't been doing this for so many years now. I was telling myself the story that I will be able to do music once I have, reached a certain amount of money, have a certain amount of free time, have a certain amount of this, certain amount of that. And it was all of these, I'll do it then, I'll do it then, I'll do it then. And I just started looking at my life going, okay, well, where am I actually spending my time in a day? And the podcast was a big part of this for me as well. The podcast I was doing 2 episodes a week. I actually ended up doing 85 episodes in 9 months. And that blows my mind thinking about that. I'm like,
huge.
Whoa, and as you know, you're the other one who does this without any help. So it's a lot of work, right? And I sort of just sat with myself for a minute and went, okay, so what if I put all of that time into music? Like, surely I would make something kind of cool. Like, surely it was kind of just like an experiment. Like, let's be curious here and play a bit and go, if at the very least I learn how to play piano with that time, or, I get a bit better at guitar or something, that's so valuable to me, because having the ability to have a song come to my mind, which has happened since I was a kid, but I've never had the musical backing to really amplify it and bring it to life in any sort of quick way. It's always been, hey, do you know of a producer? Do you know, oh yeah, I know this guy. And then you meet and then you sort of try and get on the same page, but you'd always have differing ideas and opinions and tastes and sounds. And it always ends up being something so far removed from the original idea. And that was also what was tainting my love of music. So I was going, no, I have these ideas in my head. I have these sounds, these melodies, these hooks, and I need to get them into the world. So if I spent the time that I'm spending on the podcast, and I gave myself, I sort of said, again, try not to put too much pressure on it. If I stopped the podcast 2 months ago, that was September of, what year is it? 2024. Time is going so fast. And I sort of said to myself, just test it until the end of the year. So just like October, November, December, we're only like 6 weeks in to my little break for myself. And I'm already making songs, like real actual songs that very soon are going to be recorded. And so, I'm blowing my own mind, and I'm so proud of myself for giving myself permission to do this. But the funny thing is, I do plan at this stage to start the podcast back up for season 3 next year. That is the plan, but I'm not putting pressure on myself. I'm going to see what happens and see where I'm at that point. But the main core message that I'm always preaching about and always, interviewing other people about on my podcast was about following your passion and really tapping into that thing. And the problem with me is I have so many passions, but I was ignoring the number one, the one that's sitting on top, the one that I had put on a pedestal, thinking I couldn't do it yet for whatever reason. And so repeating that message, doing the podcast actually ended up being, for me, to step into music. So that was such a beautiful gift in itself. And that was, again, overcoming a fear, like being on camera a lot more and having raw conversations with people, like all of these things I was like really scared of before I started it. And when I look back now, I'm like, okay, so I did that, conquered that fear, had so much fun. It was amazing. And I'm sure I'll be back again. Who knows when? But the fact that I gave myself the gift of pursuing the one thing that I've been wanting to pursue, like that made it all worth it, So let's see what happens from here.
Yeah. I want to talk about your creative process, but before we get there, you said you're a multi talented, you've got so many passions, but your number one was music.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you've always loved music. For those out there who are similar to you, they have so many passions, but maybe they don't have that number one, the one that's really clear to them, like you had with music. How would you kind of recommend them to sort of go on that journey and figure out what is that one thing that really lights them up?
Use your body as an antenna, basically. Use the feelings, the emotions in everything you do. You are so aware of whether you like something or not. And you're so aware of whether you like this 10% more than this thing that I was doing 5 minutes ago, or if it's 50% more, or if it's like, wow, I love this thing compared to what I was doing 10 minutes ago, or whatever. But in saying that, I also want to, another big thing that helped me to just be in this beautiful space that I feel like I'm in right now of allowance and just flow, like flowing through all of my passions. I'm still working full time. I'm still filming every day. I'm editing every day. I'm doing all these things. Music's on the side for me, but it's such a big part of my free time now, which is incredible. But for multi-passionate people, I always think about them because I'm like, this has been my biggest thing working through in life. And the thing is, you're allowed to have more than one thing. And I think that has been an issue in itself, is people feeling like they're broken or they're wrong for having more than one thing that they like to do. And I think that has been another big story I was telling myself, going, oh, I've got to, well, I love filming, I love music, I love dance, I love acting, I love all these things. I've got to pick one. And that's every time I've tried to pick one, I've closed down parts of myself. And what I've found recently is when I do a little bit of filming, that inspires an idea for music. And then I do a bit of music and that inspires an idea for a dance. And then when I do a bit of dance, that inspires me to go for a hike. And then when I go into nature, I get an idea for a new melody. Like, it just allowing, it's sort of that feeling of no more got to do it this way, should do this. All of those sorts of barriers and boundaries that I placed up around myself are just dropping. And, of course, it's not like an overnight thing. It's happening slowly. I've been working towards this my whole life and been so aware of myself. And yet I've still held all of these roadblocks in front of me going, no, you can't do that until you do this. No. And so now when I see them come up, I just go, body, what do you want to do right now? Like, what's going to make you happy? And you imagine yourself doing some music and you feel it. And you're like, ooh, yes. Or you might go, you know what? Yeah, I love music, but not today. I'm a bit tired. I'm drained and I'm not very creative when I'm drained. So sometimes it's literally, I just want to sit on the balcony and listen to an audiobook and look at the sky. And that's my creative process for that day, you know? But just, I think allowance has got to be the word for me of 2024. And I'm pretty sure I did a podcast at some point where I had a word for this year and I can't remember what that word was. I hope it was
Nailing
allowance. Yeah. It's probably like restriction or something, or like focus. Choose one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so, yeah, it's so beautiful. And I relate to that so much. And for me, I'm the same in the sense that, you know, I've had these blocks. I've put myself in a box and thought there's, you know, a certain way to do things. But also deep down, I know there's a bazillion way to do things. And I think that self-awareness to, number one, question yourself is the most powerful thing you can ever do, because when you have the courage to question what you're thinking, the stories that you're telling yourself, that opens up so much. And it does give you the opportunity to choose what it is exactly you want for yourself. So I really love that. And, you know, giving yourself the grace to be able to choose you and the life that you want to be living.
That's the thing. Just play, just have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, you mentioned, you know, like how you're spending your day. You work full time as well. Like there's so many people out there work full time, have passions, are not starting them because of whatever story that they're telling themselves. And it's something that I'm still working on as well.
It's such a big one. And something else I've noticed lately is, I mean, I'm such a big fan of researching the subconscious mind and understanding how much power we actually have over our bodies. We can heal ourselves. We can literally tell our bodies to do anything. It's mind-blowing. I told my body recently to give me good skin. I'm not joking. I've always had rough skin. And I started giving it orders, and I gave it a certain time frame. And I've never had clearer skin in my life, ever. It's blown my mind.
Question on that.
Yeah.
So you've told yourself that.
Mm-hmm.
Did that then change any of your actions?
No. And that's the thing that I really wanted to focus on, because I was like, if I then go and change something else, then it might be because of that is, you know, this result has happened. But I wanted to test it and go, you know, I'm reading all these books and I'm hearing all these things and all these scientists and all these, you know, people that are often discredited because it's, oh, that's just so fanciful. That's not real. I wanted to try it with something that was a very prominent story that I had told myself. I have bad skin. I have bad skin. I have bad skin. I was saying that on a loop. It was like a record playing in my mind every single day. I have bad skin. And then, you know, I'd go and put makeup on and I'd see it and go, oh, look, there it is. Bad skin, bad skin. And I just stopped telling that story. And when it came up, I'd go, no, that's not true. That's not true. And then whenever I'd go to sleep at night, I would instruct my subconscious mind to heal my skin, because it has the blueprint for your perfect natural state. But all of these stories and programs and distortions that we let into our field are what cause all of these things. Like, we literally create our reality. I can't say that loud enough because it's so hard to believe. It's so like mind-blowing. But when you start to actually go, well, let me see what I can do. And it's not just with that. I've tested this with manifestations. I've tested this with all sorts of things. Even at work right now, I'm literally calling in people that are heroes of mine that are contacting us out of nowhere from other countries because they're going to come to Sydney and they want someone to shoot for them. We don't even know how they found our website. Like, we can't explain it. But I'm putting out these different sort of signals now because, again, I've stopped telling myself I should be this way. I have to do it this way. And like you said, there's so many different ways to do anything. You know what I mean? I forgot what the point of this was.
Well, I'm going to... People want to know, how are you doing this? What is it? You said you're going to bed at night. You're telling yourself, your body to heal. Like, is it just at night when you're going to sleep? Is it the morning in front of the mirror when you're brushing your teeth? What are you doing?
I am watching the story when it comes up, and I'm watching how regularly it does, and I'm flipping it. And it's literally as simple as that. And this is what started this conversation, is what I noticed is one of the stories I was telling myself is, I'm really tired at the end of the day. After I finish work, I don't have energy to go and do music because I'm buggered. I've been working all day. So I started telling a different story. And guess what happened? It's literally that simple. So the reason I say before bed and when you wake up are the most powerful times, because you're in this somnambulous state. You're sort of a little bit, I always get the brain waves confused, but I think no, I'm not even going to guess it. I don't think it's alpha. Maybe it is alpha.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the working state in the day. It's the one in between
Gamma?
Sleep. I think gamma's
Gamma
even
wave?
further down, potentially. We can add this to the show
One
notes.
of the waves.
One of the waves, look it up. But it's when you're more susceptible to taking direction. So let me give you a really basic example that people can relate to, because it's come from a doctor. I had cancer in my right arm. I had a big tumor cut out of my bone, and most of my bone was missing. It was at the point where almost my arm was going to snap, because it was like bone, whole, tiny bit of bone left. So at the point, initially they thought it was really bad. They thought I was a goner, and they rushed me through the system, which was incredible to watch how they work and how much they care. Like, it really blew my mind. But the point of this story is, at the end, they realized that even though it had malignant tendencies, because it was eating through my bone, that's obviously very malignant, it was benign, and they couldn't explain why. They still can't explain why. My scans have been sent to the Skeletal Society for them to try and figure out what the hell went on here. I believe there's a higher power involved here, and it wasn't my time to go, but it was a wake-up call, and it was the first wake-up call I got, which I'm very grateful for. Again, the point of this story is that it snapped so quickly from a very serious situation to a situation where he sort of said, I don't understand how. And he told me to go and buy a lottery ticket and put his name on it, because I'm the luckiest person he's ever seen. But he said, all we're going to need to do is scoop out this tumor, and then your bone will heal. And I went, what? My bone will just heal itself? Like, it'll just regenerate? Like, what is that? What are we, X-Men shit? Like, what's going on here? And he was so calm and matter of fact and just real about it, that goes, yeah, that's what they do. And because he was such a professional, he was such a high-level doctor, Dr. Stally, he's amazing. Look him up. He used to be on RPA and stuff like that. He's such a beautiful guy. His confidence made me believe that my bone would heal itself. If I didn't believe that it would heal itself, then I would be sending signals to my cells saying, don't heal, don't heal, don't heal. You can't heal, you can't heal, you can't heal. This is why we talk about self-love and self-empowerment and giving yourself the belief that you can do these things, because you are literally the director guiding. You're like the orchestra, the conductor of an orchestra, and your cells are all of the different members of that orchestra, and you're telling them what they can do. So when I was telling myself every day, you got bad skin, especially when I'd, go and eat chocolate. Oh, you're going to get even worse skin now because you got all this sugar in your system. Like, maybe, but what if not? What if I told myself a different story, that chocolate doesn't give me bad skin, that actually I have beautiful glowing skin and it gets better every day, and all of these other, and then you can get really creative, like you can really direct your body to do anything. But when I saw my bone heal, and through x-rays, it only took, I think it was 2 months for it to regenerate itself. And it was a big chunk of it missing. That blew my mind. And even though I didn't get into this sort of work and research back then, it took me a while to sort of click onto this when I looked back, and I started waking up spiritually a little bit more, and understanding that there's unseen forces that are really a big part of the picture here that we can't see. Like the visible spectrum of light, we can see this much. There's actually this much going on at all times. And I started to get curious about that. That's when I remembered about my bone healing itself. And I was like, well, what else can my body do? And now it's playtime.
Wow. Sarah, when was this?
2016. This was 4 years before the seizures started. I needed a couple of wake-up calls. All right.
Yeah, totally.
But you know what? It's so interesting. When I look at my life now, and I'm not saying I'm never going to have another big thing like that. I may. Who knows? If I need it, I will. But those are two of the best things that ever happened to me, even though they were the worst at the time, And I'm not just saying that to be cheesy, but your greatest challenges become your greatest teachers. They really do.
Sarah, you asked me when I was on your podcast
I love that you have a good memory. I do not.
I had to remember. You asked me, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, am I thankful for the stuff that's happened in my life, or, do I have gratitude for what's happened? And in that moment, I was like, fucking nut. I don't want to, I hated those moments.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what
you're
I was
very
thinking.
poised, very poised.
And now I get it, because I think I actually get kind of scared to think about who I would be today had I not experienced any of that.
Right.
And
Yes.
I'm really proud of who I am and happy with where I'm at, even though I'm not, I don't have the things that I want yet.
Mm-hmm. Yet.
I'm really comfortable and content with who I am and what I want. And I've only really recently found that.
I love hearing that. That makes me so happy, because I see these things as initiations, and they look different for every single person. But an initiation, basic definition, is something that you go through. You come out the other side a completely different person that you would never be if you hadn't gone through that initiation. And I mean, this is also why I love chasing my fears and heading straight towards the things that freak me out, because I know I'm going to up level. I know I'm going to break free of that, because that thing it's holding me back in some way. And there is no one in this entire world that is holding me back except for me. So the more I go towards, that's why the shark thing, it's like, it's not even freaking me out. Like, I'm genuinely so excited, because I already know that when I come out of that water, I will have overcome this thing that's just been this weird thing that's stopped me from going into what 90% of what the world is, water. Like, it's literally stopped me from exploring such a huge part. I didn't even like boat rides. I didn't even think about cruises. Like, all of these things, I'm like, nah, water. And now it's just already opening up. I'm already like thinking about a cruise with my family in a couple of years. So
Oh, wow. See?
But, yeah. That's what it's
opens up.
Yeah. But like, I see that there are life initiations. There's soul initiations that your soul needs to go through, that in my personal belief, I believe you scheduled that shit out before you even got here. You knew that you were going to go through these sorts of things. Like, whether it looks this way or that way, there are things that were needed to chisel you in certain ways to be able to create the life that you came here to create, to learn the soul lessons that you came here to learn. But then there are optional initiations that you can choose to put yourself through. And it could be something as simple as some intense breath work or some heavy meditations. Like, these are things that are asking you, inviting you to go deep within and look at all those parts of yourself that are actually running the show that you're too scared to look at. Because you kind of think, oh, I don't want to know the answers here. But the truth is, the more light, all it is doing is shedding more light on a situation. And information is light. So you're getting more information about what's going on inside you, what's going on with your stories, what you're telling yourself, what you're directing your cells to do every single day. You get that information, then you can do more with it, then you can change it, then you have more autonomy over your life, and you can really be the creator of your reality and make it look any way you fucking want. And that's where it gets fun.
Yeah. If that's not evidence enough as to why we should be doing that, if there's someone out there going, fuck no, I don't want to be going into that dark stuff, what would you say to them?
I'd say, look at that. Look at why you don't want to do that. Be brave enough to just question that and ask that question. Why don't I want to go in there? What is it that you think you're going to find? Okay, if you find that thing that you think might be there, and this is all such like, it's cognitive level. It's not feeling. Like, we're talking about deeper inner work, shadow work, things that are really to do with the true essence of who you are. Like, when I say to you, who are you? And you say Jackie Tan, you're not Jackie Tan. Jackie Tan are two words. Who is the I that is I am Jackie Tan? What is that? You know what I mean? Not even who is that? What is that? Looking at things like that, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the parts of ourselves that this is where, religion and spirituality have wars over these sorts of questions because they're just so mind-boggling. And it does take that warrior energy to go, no, I want to look at this. I don't want to look away. I don't want to go, I'm just a physical blob existing on a rock, floating around space. I actually want to know what I'm capable of. What are these things that I have? We have clair abilities. We have claircognizance, clairvoyance. Why do some people get to see ghosts and other people don't? Why are some people able to do certain things and other people aren't? Like, there are just so many questions. And I've just always been such an investigator. I'm like, I just want to know. But I have to keep saying I wasn't, even though I've had this investigative part of me my whole life, there was a big chunk of my life, at least 10, 15 years, where I purposely blocked it all out because it was too scary. And I had to really put my blinders on and go, I'm just figuring out my life now. I need to get myself a job. I want to get into a career that I love. And that was my priority. So I totally get this. I don't think that everyone is fit for this at any point in their life. I think it calls to you when you're ready for it. It's sort of like this divinely timed thing that happens. And that's another big part of my mindset shift for this year is we're all so different. You know what I mean? And that's such an obvious statement, but really, like, all the things I'm saying, they're going to relate to a few people here, a few there, maybe, but not in full. Not every single thing I'm saying will even relate to someone, even if they're really feeling it, because they have their own perspectives, their own lived experiences, their own ideas, their own beliefs. So everything, it's kind of like, I just see life as like a buffet. Like, take what you want, take what feels good, and leave the rest. It's fine. And don't
Yeah.
take shit personally. Like, we're different.
Yes.
And we're just figuring our shit out. So even if I say things that kind of freak people out, it's like, that's cool. That's my way. But you don't have to do that,
Yeah. Find what works for you.
Yeah.
I want to come back to your music,
Love
your
it.
artistry, your creativity, because I'd really love to know where, I mean, you said earlier you'll go for a hike and you'll get inspiration and from that, and then in your photography and your work, but I'd really love to know more about that creative process. Can you bring that on? Like, can you just get in front of the piano or pick up your guitar and it kind of just comes, or do you have certain things that you like to do to get creative? Do you look back on your past experiences, the scary ones? I know I'm putting labels on it, but the ones that weren't as enjoyable to go through. How does all of that influence your creative process, and can you do something to start that up for you? Yeah.
Interesting question, because it really for me feels, again, like the statement that everyone is different. Every creation is so different. And it could be so small. It could be doing an Instagram post. That's a creation. You know what I mean? Like, so the inspiration for that could come from something really random. It is always different, but I have found when there's one thing that again, because I like to test with myself and use myself as the experiment. When I tell myself, you're going to sit down and you're going to make an amazing song today. And when I believe that and allow, I always believe that when I'm creating, I'm actually channeling. Like, I'm channeling higher energies, divine wisdom. It's not me, Sarah, creating. It's me opening my channel, becoming like an empty flute and letting the energy flow through me. And whatever comes out is like, it still doesn't feel like mine, but it feels like I'm so grateful that I get to bring this. I'm like the delivery person. You know what I mean? But I've noticed lately when I tell myself that and I believe it and I say, you're going to make something really special today, I go for it and it happens. But I don't, strangely enough, I don't say that all the time. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily tell myself that every day. And you would think that you would, right? You'd think that, okay, you found this works, so I'm going to rock up every day and go, but it does become a bit false when you're doing it every single day. Like, it's sort of like a feeling. But I just find that in terms of my process, and again, it changes all the time, but it's just getting inspired by different things. It could be literally going, I mean, I love nature. I'm obsessed with nature. So it does usually have a lot to do with that. When I'm on a walk, when I'm moving, when I'm sitting still in the studio, that's kind of like the end space. Like that's where you come when you've got the inspiration. Now I'm going to come and sit down. If I sit here, I'm usually not going to find a big spark of inspiration. However, you get those little hits, like when you find a new instrument to work with, that sparks an idea to then maybe make it sound like this sort of genre or this sort of sound. And the other thing I've noticed is because, again, like because I have so many, that side of my personality of multifaceted, multi-creative, multi-passionate is so inherent that I've noticed, and I've given myself permission to do this, that even when I make music, I have to work on like 5 to 6 songs at the same time. I'm not working song, right? It's like as soon as that fire starts to dim a little bit, I go, oh, skip over this one. I start working on this, and then I'll be called back to that one. But it's like each of them are bouncing inspiration off the other, and it keeps my mind interested and at that peak state rather than going, oh, this is becoming a bit of a grind. And there will always be a part, especially when we're talking about, any creative process, there will always be that portion of it towards the end where it's sort of like the nitty gritty, like almost the admin part. You've just got to get it done. You've got to make sure all of, if it's music, you've got to make sure you mix it all. You've got to get it mastered. You've got to, record it. And even though recording the first demo could be really fun because you're just like exploring, when you're actually recording it, you've got a very structured, like, want it to sound like this. You might do the same line 50 times. It's like, it's very monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've found that, again, just that allowing myself to jump between different projects. And I'm literally, like I said, just using my body as an antenna. And it is telling me, no, go over here. Okay, you're done here for now. Okay, come over here. Okay, go for a walk. Now you're really starting to like fizzle. Go for a walk, go into nature. And it could be something as simple as listening to a song when I'm walking in nature or driving in nature. And I hear one beat or chord or something, and then I start singing, and then I have to get my phone out and I'm like, hopefully not singing. And voice record, the amount of voice memos I have is insane. I'm sure every artist will feel me on that, but like it's insane. They have to be labeled so specifically, and they're so random. It'll be like pos, chorus, intro, idea, maybe like for this song name. And yeah, and that's where it begins. So it's really not for me like a structured thing, and that can have its positives and that can also have its negatives. Like sometimes when I have some free time, I can be almost paralyzed by, I have time and I have so many things I want to do. Oh my God, what do I do? And that's when I notice, like on the days that I don't sit with myself and calm down and listen and go, what do you want to do, body? What do you want to do, mind? Like all of that sort of stuff. I can actually get a little bit, and then I get frustrated. You know what I mean? And then that's not a great space to create from. And if that does happen, I always need to, like, I need to go for a walk. I need to get out of this environment, change something up, go and work out, like something physical. That's why hiking's fantastic. As soon as I feel like, oh my God, I got so many things I want to do and I don't know where to start, I'm like, go for a hike. You'll figure it out. And yeah, always do.
I love that so much. And I just have to say this. I have so much gratitude to Roxy, who has brought us two together, because I've learned so much from you. And I really resonate with so much that you say. You're saying about you work on 5 songs at once. And I can resonate with that in the sense that I have 5 books I'm reading at once. Like I'll get bored of one. Not that I'll get bored, but it's not giving me what I want.
Yeah.
So I'll put that down and I'll open up another one. So there's not many books that I've read cover to cover because I just love taking, what I feel I need in that moment.
I love that.
Same with dancing. I love dancing. I was a hip hop dancer, but now, like, I really love the Latin style, or the Bollywood, the belly dancing, and all of this. And I understand, like, I love bringing all of those different aspects. And there would be once upon a time where I'd be like, no, you got to stick to one, just because you don't want to be a jack of all trades.
Master of none.
What's that saying?
Master of none.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, I've heard that one many times.
Yeah, and so that really put so many barriers around, what I would do and, what would bring me joy. And I just think back now and I'm like, that's so sad. But
I
obviously
know,
we have to go
Yeah,
through
we have to
this
learn it,
and
but,
meet the people,
Yeah.
we're meant to meet to really bring ourselves back to ourselves.
Yeah, and to see that it's possible to do things in different ways. But the thing is, that saying had a massive impact on me my whole life, because I was told that left, right, and center up until recently. It's not been a long time since people have sort of started to go, oh, she's actually doing stuff all right, so I'm just going to stop making comments. But let's face facts. Whoever made up that saying is not a multitasker. Sorry, I don't like the word multitasking because I don't feel like I can ever actually do that successfully. But it's not a multi-passionate person. Is someone who has one interest and sticks at it. And this is where I come back to everyone's different. But we took that on, especially as creatives and artistic people. We're so sensitive and we trust and we believe everyone has the best of intentions. So if they're saying this to us, they are doing it for our highest good. So we should listen. And, they obviously know better, I guess, because they're so confident about all these things. And it's like, when you're an artist, there's so much insecurity that you battle with every single day. And giving yourself this permission. I love that you're reading multiple books. I do that as well. I literally can't. Like, it's so funny because even on my Audible, like I love physical, but I also love audio books. And I was just checking out my finished list yesterday. And I was like, I know I've finished over like 150 books on this thing since I got it. And it says 10 because I've pulled all of them back in and I am like listening to one chapter here and one chapter here. And I constantly, depending on my mood, am skipping to different things. But again, like, what's wrong with that? You know? It's so good that when we finally realize that, it's like, it's okay.
There are no rules.
There really aren't. Like, where are these rules coming from? It's
Exactly.
incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. With your music, are there like certain messages or certain emotions that you want to evoke, whether that's in yourself or whether it's what you want the listener to get from it? Like, do you go into a creative session going, this is what I want to channel today, or this is how I want this piece to come across? Like, and I know music is always subjective, so it could always come across differently to what you're wanting it to, but do you go in with, I want this person to feel this?
I love this question because this is another reason why I feel so strongly about making music right now, is because what I want to hear is not out there right now. And I'm sure so many people would feel that in their own way because we all have such different tastes, like you said. But I am not interested, at least at this point in my life, in hearing songs about breakups and about love and about a guy and a girl and a girl and a girl and a guy and all these things. And it's just so the same story. It's like, you hurt me and this, and it's great. We need that at certain points of our lives. I'm just at the point where I want to listen to music that is fucking badass, but also empowering. It's true. It's inspiring, but it's not cheesy. And even if I'm not really listening to it, I'm actually getting embedded with really positive affirmations. That's what I'm doing with my music. I'm so excited. It's like healing music.
So
it's like meditation for badasses, basically.
Yeah. We need that.
Yeah, we do.
Sarah.
We really do. Because I'm hearing a lot more music come out lately that's got a lot more, words around spirituality and ascension and awakening and 5D and all of these different things. And that's beautiful, but it's very trendy and it's becoming almost a little cheesy for me anyway. And again, everyone has different tastes, so I'm sure there's many people that need that and they're resonating with that. But I want to speak to those ones who are kind of like, no, like, I don't want to go and listen to like hippie music, but I'm kind of a hippie. Like, I don't know. I just want something that's going to make me remember my own innate power. It's not going to be whining about a breakup. It's, but I could dance to it. Like, I could really fucking dance to it.
Yeah.
Or I could, cry to it or whatever. Like, there's so many different tones. This one song I'm working on right now, oh my gosh, I literally am obsessed with it. And that's I can't believe I'm saying that about my own song because I thought it would take me years.
You should.
Yeah, I know, right? But I again, another story. I told myself, oh, it's probably going to take like 2-3 years until I make my first song producing, and I'm like, oh, sorry, like 2 weeks later. Anyway, this one song has this Nordic fiddle in it, and it's like my favorite instrument out of nowhere, and I can't believe how epic it sounds. But I never thought I'd be playing with instruments like that. Like that's on all electronic, obviously, but yeah. It's strange. It's different. Something I haven't heard before, you know? Like I don't want it to be same. I want it to be something that's like, even if people don't like it, at least if they're like, that's different. Like, it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think when different comes out, people don't like different to begin with.
Always.
But then it's the thing.
What's the song? Bohemian Rhapsody. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm so excited. I just want
Me
to
too.
hear something.
I just want to get it out.
Yeah. The first time we had a chat, I did, as I always do, a lot of research on my guests, and I found music videos of yours from way back when.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy heck, who is this woman? So much talent, and I want more.
Thank you. That's so lovely. And I have to also thank you so much for telling me that you found that old video, because I went back to that old YouTube page. I've left those videos live. That's fine.
I was going to say, did you delete it?
No, but I found that there was a playlist that I had added that had some random videos attached, and they were all live as if I had created it. Anyway, so you drew my attention to that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to clean this channel up a bit. That's strange. But anyway, I so appreciate that. I'm like, really, I'm so keen to get it out, but this is like the game that I'm playing with myself right now. Don't rush it. Like, you know, this is, once it's out, and that's going to be there for life. So I'm really trying to be calm. I've got the first 2 songs that are coming out are the last 2 beats that I have bought. So they are not my production. They've been bought online by another producer, and I'm just singing over the top, and then I'm getting someone to mix and master that. The ones that I'm working on now will be coming out next year. But it's the way it's looking right now, it feels like this, because I'm working on so many at the same time, they're sort of all getting finished around the same time. So there's probably going to be, it could even be like an album that comes out, or an EP, like rather than just a single or something, I don't know. Or it could be just releasing a song every 2 weeks. Who bloody knows? I'm over the rules. Just see what happens.
Yeah. It happens the way it happens.
Exactly.
What's your path look like going forward? Or what does success look like?
Oh, I love how much that has shifted. Like, that makes me so happy when I hear success. Success, that word used to make me cringe, because I was like, oh, I'm not there yet. Being in joy every day. That's my idea of success. And I genuinely am, because I have taken the time to encode my days with so many things that are good for me. Like, by the time I wake up at 4:30, by the time it's 9 and I'm starting work, I've already meditated. I've done my breath work. I've gone to the gym. I've had a beautiful calming shower. I've lit the house with incense. I've sat on the balcony. I've done my gratitude practices. I've done some journaling. I've done some cooking. Like, it's a whole thing. That's just the morning. And then I have these
that's like some people's days.
That's the thing. And that's, so it's, I'm looking at myself, and I started this mentality in 2022. I broke up with someone after a long-term relationship, and I wasn't able, and it wasn't his fault, but I didn't feel like I was able to just be who I wanted to be, really. And ever since then, when I got my time back, it was like, holy shit, now what's possible? And I started to look at my body like a computer, like a biocomputer. And I started to go, okay, how can I hack this thing? How can I like code it to just be an absolute beast at all the things I wanted to do? And I started listing, things I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to learn how to fight. So I'm doing jiu-jitsu now. That's exciting. I've always wanted to be able to play guitar and piano. I've always wanted to make my own music. But I needed to fix this vessel before I could actually do all of these things. So the first couple of years were spent getting my health right, getting my eating right, making sure, even my morning smoothie, that's like a morning magic medicine container for me. Every morning I have supplements, I have my probiotics, I have vitamin C, I have all of these amazing things in there. So I'm starting my day really well. And then, that's bled into the rest of my day because I feel so good in the mornings. I'm like, well, I want to feel like this at night. So I eat really well at lunch now as well. I eat really well at dinner. And I love cooking. So cooking has become a beautiful meditation for me, and I can listen to some audiobooks while I'm cooking. So I'm learning while I'm cooking. Like, there's just so many beautiful moments in the day where I just look around and I'm like, usually completely by myself. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love my life. Like, I love it. It's so fantastic. And I created this thing because for so long I was that person going, what's my purpose? What's the meaning? What am I meant to do? Like, blah, blah, blah. All of these desperate, confused thoughts. And the answer that I sort of found for myself is whatever you fucking want to do, but you got to put in the work and, like, sort of figure out kind of a direction. I don't really believe in having a solid goal anymore either. It's kind of like each day my goal is just to find joy and bliss and just be in a state of happiness as much as possible. And, I know there's definitely moments where I still go down. There's always one time per month in particular where I tend to be a little bit more irritable than other times. But other than that, it really is a choice. It's a matter of it's sort of like a technique. It's, if you put all of the right pieces in place, what else is going to happen but the right things that you want to happen,
It's so funny. I feel like we are so aligned because I literally just recorded a solo episode about joy.
Oh, I love. You got to link it to me. Oh, I'll find it. I want to watch it.
Yeah. It'll be released soon.
Oh yeah.
But I really love that. What I want to know, based on what you said you broke up with your partner in 2022, and obviously you've been through a lot. How did you come to the conclusion that waking up at 4:30 was really important for you, and you were going to do your meditation and you were going to have your smoothie, and like, how did all of these decisions come about?
I believe, and like I said, I have the worst memory ever, but from my recollection, it was actually the smoothie that started it all. It was going from a life of, I do what I want when I feel like it. I do what makes me feel good. I'm chasing that dopamine. I'm having cigarettes. I'm drinking like 2 cans of V a day. I'm having multiple coffees on top of that. They're all full of sugar and chocolate. They're always mockers. And that's just the beginning of it. From that sort of existence and that's what I say, like, I didn't want to look at who I was and what I was here for and all those things. It was too scary, too big for me. To then I started having this smoothie, and I started the smoothie actually in 2018. And that was the first thing that I was consistent with. And I just, I enjoyed it. I felt good. It was a great way to start my day. Some people swear against smoothies in the morning. I have just found that it works for me. So for me, that was the first thing that started. And then there were other little things that I would stop, and then other things I would start doing a little bit of meditation in the morning, just like 5 minutes, just 10 minutes, just to be with myself, just to center and calm down, because I was so erratic and so much high energy and, all over the place, feeling like I'm doing so much and getting nowhere. And that's what really exhausted me. And then you feel defeated, and then you don't want to try anymore. And, all those emotions pop up. So sitting with myself for like 5 minutes a day became really important. Little things like that started happening. And then what I did with cigarettes was actually really big for me as well. I tried to quit that many times. I was a smoker for 22 years, and I tried to quit that many times in that many different ways, that it got to the point where I started to think, instead of trying to drop this thing, I'm just going to add so many positive things into my world. And I think this thing is going to just drop out itself. And that's exactly what happened. So I started, a little bit of walking every day, and then a little bit of breath work, and just so many little positive things. Reading became this beautiful thing for me. 2018, 2019, I started reading. When I was a kid, I was a reader. And then, probably 20 years of just nothing. And then I started, reading, researching, understanding my body and my mind and what I was capable of and possibilities and all of these things. And sorry. So I started to see the very stark difference between when I treat myself like this, I feel like this, and these are the results I get. And when I treat myself like this is what I get. These are the results I get. So then when I did find myself in my own apartment with all of the time in the world that I could ask for, other than working full time, but that to me is still so much time in a week outside of that. It was really like, okay, now I want to encode. And that's what I called it, encoding the vehicle. It was just time to really start putting all these other things into place. And I started to get fascinated by it, going, what could I do if I had a morning routine that was just so well-rounded, like it dealt with my body, my mind, and my soul? What would that do for my life? And so I started focusing on just that, and then my morning routine became this beautiful part of me. And then because of that energy and that amplification of, possibilities and everything, that would stem into other things that I would do. And the more times I would start something going, oh, I wonder, and end it going, oh my gosh, I've blown my own mind, the more I wanted to do and explore. And that's what led me to going, you can learn instruments, chick. Like, stop telling yourself you can't. You will succeed at this. You just got to do it. Like, you have to do it every day. And that's what I love about instruments in particular. It's a commitment. It's, to me, it's a relationship. Like, when I sit down with the guitar, I'm like, this is my homie. Like, this is like my guy. Is like, let's fucking jam. Like, really. And I'm committed and I'm showing up every day. And it's just incredible when you start to see yourself get better and you start going, my fingers can't move that way. Oh, guitar is not like, this is a joke. This is like a really weird joke that everyone is playing who can play guitar. It's not possible, and a couple of months in, your fingers are moving in ways that they never could before. And that's when you start to go, well, what else is possible? Like, that's why I'm going to go free diving. And this is just going to perpetuate. Next time we talk, I might be going to space or something. Who knows? What else?
I love that so much. And you just, honestly, you inspire and motivate me. And I'm like, what could I do? Or what else could I do now? And really, questioning why I think, it blows my mind. I'm about to start a job and I'm like, oh, it's going to take away the opportunity for me to do this. And I'm like, wait a minute, why? It's only a certain part of the day. Like, you've still got on either side space to do the things that you want to do. So, and this conversation right now is the message reiterating itself to me. And I love that so much.
Love that.
And just like you said in the beginning, like, things come to us, when we're ready for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with, that's that belief around not being able to do stuff before or after or whatever. Again, like, that's been like embedded into our system because most people believe that. So it just becomes this snowball effect and it sort of becomes rhetoric. It's just law. Like, you've got a full-time job, that's all you can do. It's like, well, actually, look at all of the entrepreneurs in the world. They all started working usually full-time, like in jobs usually that they absolutely hated. So if you've got a full-time job that you don't mind, you're already miles ahead, and then it's up to you how you spend the rest of that time. But there's definitely hours in a day. Definitely.
Love it. Sarah, you're incredible, and I love talking to you every time I get the opportunity. I have one more question for you, and then I want to throw it over to you to get you to ask a question to this listener.
Oh, love it.
So, have we done that before?
No. Let's do it. This is season 2. No, this is season 5. Yeah, I was going to say no, sorry.
Right, yeah. So that's right. I did it this season.
This is the Jackie Tan show, man.
Exactly.
This is not feel better.
Yes. So I like to hand it over to the guest at the end of the show and get you to ask a question to the listener, because I really think, like, I can ask you so many questions and you can bring your goodness, but I also think that, you engaging with the listener and getting them to think of something else is really special. So before then, my last question to you is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
It's like a equal toss-up between play, exploration, and passion. It's like, I don't know exactly what it looks like. And I don't think you can plan your legacy, but if I'm remembered, or the essence of me is remembered as that little spark of reminder for people to do what brings you joy, to play, to just explore, be that student, like just really look at this life as, in my belief, we chose to come here. So make the most of it. You get, again, in my belief, you get so many different lifetimes. So the amount of pressure that people sometimes put on this one can be like really crippling. Just play, relax, let it go. Death is not something to freak out about. It's a transition. It's another one of those initiations we're talking about. You just come out the other end in another car, in another vehicle. But just play, like really have fun, like enjoy being the you that you are, because there's literally only one of you and you are so unique. And just, there's like 50 things in there. That's a hard
And they're
one.
all amazing and important. Sarah, what would you like to ask this listener?
Well, it's going to tie in with all of that blurb pretty much. Is I would like anyone listening to ask themselves how they have followed their joy today, or how they have created joy in their life today. And if they haven't yet, then you still got some time left. I'm sure you're not listening to this right before you're about to go to bed. Maybe you are. I don't know. You can find joy in sleep. But what are you going to do to find a little bit of joy? And it's literally just listening to your body and going, what do I want to do right now? What will make me happy? Simplify.
I love it. Sarah, you're incredible. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I could chat for you for hours and hours, but I'll settle for one today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie. I always love talking to you and I love your work.
How good was she? If you want to follow her journey, make sure you follow her on her Instagram, Sarah Louise Maxwell, or follow her podcast as well, Truejectory, because she's doing incredible things on there as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, if you know someone who would also love hearing about Sarah's story and would be inspired by the actions that she's taking, please share it with them and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because all of that really helps the podcast continue to grow. As always, I think you're awesome. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.